Well, it's time now to talk about L&T Infotech. Now, this is a company which has seen a gain of close to about 4.5% today. In fact, the company's had a fairly good run. It's been outperforming the industry. In 2018 itself, the stock has seen close to about a 50% rally versus the Nifty IT, which has seen about a 25% rally. So it's outperformed the index by close to about 25%. They had an analyst meet yesterday. Fairly positive comments coming in from that. Sanjay Jalona, the MD and CEO of the company, joins us on the phone line. Mr. Jalona, afternoon. You've always been guiding that growth for this year will be better than what we saw in the prior year, which was about a 17% growth. Now, yesterday you indicated that the deal pipeline is actually higher by close to about 25% compared to a year ago. The momentum in the last two quarters suggests a growth in excess of 20%. So now as we come to the close of this financial year, do you have the confidence to give us, a little more precise guidance? Could growth be in excess of 20% this year?
Good afternoon to both of you as well. Yes, if you look at Q1 and Q2 results, year-on-year basis, we grew upwards of 20%. Obviously, the US dollar had strengthened a bit, and when you earn in cross currencies, the US dollar conversion has an impact on us. But we are very positive where we stand on Q3 and Q4. Definitely, we look on constant currency to be in the ballpark of the number that you mentioned, but we don't give revenue guidance, but we are looking and sitting pretty right now.
So it should be ballpark close to the Q1, Q2 rates, H2?
No, what I said was we are looking at in constant currency to be closer to 20% growth year-on-year.
Okay. Hi, Mr. Jalona. Good afternoon. What about beyond FY19? Are you looking to comfortably outpace your larger peers?
Look, where we sit with the exit rate at Q4, what we see today, when we look at the pipeline, both in terms of total pipeline as well as large deal pipelines, when we see the kind expenditure going up on digital transformations and the opportunities that lie ahead of us and the focus that we have built on select verticals, where we sit today, we believe we would continue to be a growth company and be in the leaders quadrant of growth.
Okay. Mr. Jalona, sorry, you said Q3, Q4 constant currency growth closer to 20%, right? Given the visibility you have today.
That is correct.
Okay. What about margins? The rupee's been all over the place this quarter. If you could talk about the impact of the currency on your margins in the current quarter?
We want to insulate the shareholders for all currency movements, and this is why we have a very robust and a disciplined hedging strategy. So we are continuing to guide on the margin at the 15% band range, and we don't see an impact.
Okay. If you could throw some more color on your deal pipeline, can you continue to win these $50 million deal plus, deals that you've been winning for the last two quarters? Have you won such a large deal in the December quarter as well?
There are multiple deals. We have a large deal pipeline currently of close to $1 billion, which is up by 25% from last year. And the deals are at varying degrees of closure. Some are starting, some are in presentation mode, some are in final selection mode, and some are nearing closure. So we are close to that. Now, please remember that December is already, we are nearing the Christmas time. This is where offices and things shift out to January. But yeah, there are some deals in the closure state as well.
Okay. What are the early indications from your clients regarding the spending as well as budgets for next year? If you could just don the industry hat now.
Yeah. So look, the customers are looking at solving unique problems, and if you look at, we did a survey through MIT, where we are the patrons of Center for Information Systems Research. When we asked the companies, how complete is your digital transformation journey? More than 70% of the people are less than 50% there. So there is enough market if we have the right stories to help them transform. And I think when you are playing on the revenue side of the business and not on the cost side of the business for your customers will always find monies for interesting proposals where they can actually enhance the experience of their customers, the final customers, or drive revenue growth. So we see great opportunities using technology to transform businesses.
Okay. My colleague was asking about F520, but can F520 be better than F519?
Look, I want to leave. There are macro level. There are many things that are happening. I want to just leave it, and there are many things that those are not in our control. So if you look at things that are in control, where we stand today, we want to just simply leave it at that. We want to be in the leaders quadrant, if not the leader for the growth.
Okay, and have you come closer to an acquisition? This is something we ask you every time, and you say that we're always scouting for one. You spend so much of your time looking at that. Any announcement on that front we should expect shortly?
Yes, in due course of time. We are always on the lookout, and a couple of them are obviously in the works.
So in F519, you should be able to close an acquisition?
In the works, some of these, you do the due diligence, and sometimes they spill over, they take time. But yeah, I want to just leave it at, yes, sure. We are talking on a few parties.
Okay, thank you very much for joining in, Mr. Jalona. So that is L&T Infotech. I think, Sumaira, the biggest takeaway is the company saying that in Q3 and Q4 also, they should see about a 20% year-on-year constant currency growth, because typically the second half of the year is seasonally weak because you have these, shutdowns on account of holidays, furloughs, etc. in the January to March quarters when, decisions are typically being made, clients decide how much to spend. So typically Q3 and Q4 is the weaker quarter for IT companies, and in that the management remains optimistic, and they're saying that they see about a 20% growth, which should be better than the growth that they saw last year as well, because last year Q3 F518 had about a 16.5% growth, while Q4 had about 18.4% growth. So things are picking up for L&T Infotech.